Hello, everybody. Joined by my friend Evan Driscoll for, I think we said what, the fourth KalamaZooKeeper podcast?
That's right. Happy Friday, June 11th.
June 11th. Happy Friday, everybody. How you doing, Evan?
I'm good. I think if you think it's a good idea, we might even post this today. We'll do a double drop.
Oh, cool. So yesterday you helped me buy my first bit of cryptocurrency. Let's talk about that.
Sure. Well, as your friend mentioned, security is an issue. It's one thing to have your gold in a safe in the house. Only so many people are ever gonna even know you have a house someplace, but you've got that one front door. When you have cryptocurrency or a computer, basically you have a front door to the whole world though. So it matters what kind of security measures you take. Absolutely. And you were thinking,
Give some context. My friend, we spoke about this earlier. My friend does data recovery, and he's had hard drives come in where the cryptocurrency is actually on the hard drive, and the hard drives are messed up to the point where he can't get it. So, some of these people are out perhaps tons and tons of money, depending on how much Bitcoin or cryptocurrency they had. With what we did yesterday, like if I lost my phone, which is my computer, I guess it has something like a hard drive on it, or am I sounding stupid right now? That's what I did, is backed up somewhere, right?
well, you can recover your exchange account even if you lose your phone or it's damaged. It's not necessarily backed up, but there are mechanisms for you to recover your access to that exchange and to that wallet. What we ultimately want to do, though, is take your crypto off the exchange and put it on a hardware wallet that you own and physically have. And that means that if the exchange goes out of business or something happens, which has happened historically with the exchange, you still have access, you can still conduct transactions, and you can work with any other exchange in the future.
That's interesting. So you actually physically have your Bitcoin on a device, and then I'm assuming people put that in a safe.
Yeah, and they may have various security measures, maybe a password to unlock it for use. So it's like you have a wallet that you can carry around in your pocket, but your wallet has a lock on it, right?
Uh-huh.
It might even be a thumbprint or something like that, depending on what device you purchase. But yes, the thing about that, you can have it physically in that form and then put it in your safe. You can carry it around with you, like I mentioned.
That physical form, about what, because it's electronics, what about just the general like entropy that electronics go through?
Yeah, that's why you always want to have a backup. And one of the more interesting old school sort of electronics free methods of doing a backup that I suggest is, maybe it's not worth it if you just have $100 worth of Bitcoin, but beyond that, it's probably worth it to get something like this plate of titanium that I mentioned. And they send you a kit, and you copy down the address of your Bitcoin, and you can actually, keep that in your house, keep it in a safe deposit box, make copies, and that physical object will resist, hours and hours in a jet fuel fire kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
If somebody steals that from you, will they have access? Is that now their Bitcoin?
You can arrange it so that it's even more difficult than just stealing the one thing, and that's something I would recommend. You would do a practice called sharding. So you would have one part of the information in one place and the other part of the information in another place, so that even if you get one piece, you still don't have full access until you get the other piece. So you might have two safety deposit boxes, or you might have one piece in the safety deposit box and another at home, that sort of a thing.
So if somebody steals half of it, then you no longer have access, or is there redundancy so you can?
Yeah, you would have your redundancy in either copies or in the form of your hardware wallet in that case. So even if someone like somehow stole everything out of your security deposit box and stole the one at home, you would still have your hardware wallet, and hopefully you would know that these things were stolen and you could change the address of your Bitcoin.
This is wild, and there's way more moving parts to it than I thought there were, and it's not at all what I thought it was. I wonder how many people and kind of misconceptions I was about it. I thought it was just kind of like buying a mutual fund or something.
It's many layers to it as
Sure.
well, right? Because there's this Bitcoin base layer, and one of the criticisms people often levy about it is that transactions are processed quite slow. Like I think the Visa network processes tens of thousands of transactions every second. Bitcoin network can only process a fraction of that. However, Bitcoin is more for settlement as opposed to day-to-day transactions. So what is being built on top of Bitcoin is a much faster transaction network that can achieve those Visa network type speeds and beyond. And then the settlement ultimately happens on that lower level layer of Bitcoin, which is supposed to be very, very secure, decentralized, censorship resistant, this sort of a thing. That's debatable given the regulatory environment that's emerging now, but yeah, there are a lot of layers to it. And that's not even touching into the other implications of blockchain and things like El Salvador just this past week announced that they'll accept Bitcoin as legal tender now. And they're actually mandating that their merchants develop an acceptance for that payment method.
El Salvador. So when that happened, how did it affect the price of Bitcoin when that news dropped?
I can't say that I followed it myself, so I couldn't tell you for sure, but I think it's been holding kind of steady with the US dollar exchange rate between 36 and 38 over the past week or so. Excuse me,
So,
it did drop down to 32 briefly.
so it didn't have a significant impact, or was that 38 to 32? I guess you don't know when. You're not following it.
I think it didn't have a major impact, partly because El Salvador is a relatively smaller economic market or network. But by contrast, when China announced some kind of restrictions on crypto several weeks ago, the week after Elon Musk basically initiated a kind of dip with his own messaging, that 1-2 punch of those two things is what accomplished the like 50% or 48% reduction in price. And China's a much, much bigger economy, and way more people in crypto pay attention to Elon than they do El Salvador, frankly.
Yeah, I like Elon. I've always been a fan. And part of me is like, well, maybe I shouldn't buy this if he's not advocating it. But as brilliant as he is, he has made some poor business decisions historically.
Yeah. Some people I respect when it comes to business, they have pretty considerable doubts about Tesla, at least. And they had a lot of C-suite people and upper level managers jump ship en masse a little while back. Maybe it was last year or the year before, including their CFO, who had just started a month before, I believe. So some red flags here and there. And I think Elon, it seems like pump and dump is part of his toolkit, whether with Tesla stock or with cryptocurrency. I think that may have had something to do with his announcement. Yeah, that's what it was. They weren't going to accept Bitcoin as payment for Tesla vehicles. And the claim was that it had a major impact on the climate, but I think that was simultaneously going with the political storm at the time, where a lot of people were making, they were dusting up this idea that it has a major climate impact. But generally, people are just demonstrating ignorance of the fact that it doesn't matter whether or not Tesla is accepting those transactions, it's going to use the same exact amount of energy across the network, because the majority of energy goes into securing the network as opposed to conducting transactions from any given entity, right? So once the network is operating and secure, it's the encryption that uses all the energy. Transactions across the network are very, very low cost in terms of the energy, right? And they're making moves towards more energy efficient modes of computation in any case. So I think it was partly a pump and dump play, frankly, it seems that way, and also kowtowing a bit to the political environment about that being some major climate threat. It's not. It's just not. And by comparison, how much energy does the fiat currency world use? Printing money and cutting down trees and such. It's, you know.
How hard is it on the environment making all those batteries for the Tesla cars too? You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Elon is kind of a by any means necessary guy, and probably any billionaire is going to be in that category. And I guess when you're trying to put people on Mars, you know, everything you can do, because that's going to be an expensive trip.
Right. Yeah. To be the first doing something like that.
Yeah, that's remarkable if he does it. I mean, even if he doesn't, just as far as he's come is remarkable what he's accomplished. Isn't it amazing though that we're still talking about, or we're talking about putting somebody on Mars, but we're still not back to the moon? When you think that'd be an easy stepping stone?
Yeah, well, China plans to build a base there.
Yeah.
So
what year?
No one. What's that?
What year?
I think they had eyes on 2030. I'm not sure. I can actually look that up real quick.
Are they going to put one of their big fake cities there that nobody lives in?
What are those called? Potemkin villages. Launched 2 lunar orbiters. Oh, yeah. Even better. They're planning to collaborate with Russia. So March 9th, they announced that they're officially planning to build a research station together on the moon.
Sounds a little daunting for us, doesn't it?
Yeah. The International Lunar Research Station is a comprehensive scientific experiment base with the capability of long-term autonomous operation, built on the lunar surface and or in lunar orbit, that will carry out multidisciplinary and multi-objective scientific research activities such as lunar exploration and utilization, lunar-based observation, basic scientific experiments, and technical verification.
With Russia and China, it'll have nothing to do with the military.
No, they don't. They don't do that.
So we don't have a ton of time, so I have to get to my doctor's appointment. But I was going to ask you, do you want to talk a little? And we should probably clarify to anybody listening to this: we're not giving any kind of financial advice. We're just curious ourselves and poking around, and we're but there's a stock that you're looking at that sounded interesting. You want to talk about that?
Well, I'm a member of this online network community called Wealth Squad, and one of the guys who was teaching a class on reading charts yesterday pointed out this EVFM, EVOFM, and they were trading at go back to 2006 they were trading at $90. And yesterday or the day before, they were trading at $1. So if you believe, price has memory and it's going to return where it's gone before, it's a reasonable thing to look into.
What does the company do?
They are in pharmaceuticals. And more specifically, they're a commercial stage biopharmaceutical company. They're developing and commercializing products to address needs in women's sexual and reproductive health, including hormone-free, women-controlled contraception and protection from STIs. So they I think just got FDA approval on something just the other day.
Do you have any idea what caused them to go from $100 a share to below $1 a share? Imagine something pretty significant.
I do not.
It'd be interesting to know that too. There's in Austin, the two tech giants. Well, there's the one tech giants that makes, I think they make hard drives. Is it Intel? And there's
I don't think Intel does hard drives so much. Hard drives though, you're thinking Western Digital or?
No, it's been years since I've thought about this, but there was two companies. I think they're both based out of Austin, and one of them went through a similar drop for some reason where it was like 30, 40, $50 a share, and it went down to $1. And a couple of people I know bought some because they knew that this company wasn't going anywhere. The company has like 3 letters.
IBM?
What is it?
IBM?
No, it's not a big one like that.
AMD was very popular recently.
That sounds right. AMD. What?
They are a chip maker like Intel. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Are they out of Austin?
I believe so.
I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, it fell to below $1, or some fraction of what it was, and I think it's recovered. I don't know if you're looking at something where you can pull it up, but you'd have to go back maybe 20 years on the graph.
AMD, Santa Clara, California. But them and Intel are definitely like the big 2 chip makers.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And yeah, they were, there was a lot of talk about them. Let me see. So in 2000, yeah, it was trading as low as $1.61 in the middle of 2016, and it's now trading at $81.28 today.
Prior to it being $1.68, it had been up like 30, 40 a share, correct, or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds like maybe you've stumbled into a similar situation.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, they were trading at 48.50, then they went down to 3, then they were trading at 47, then they went down to 160. This is over like 5-year periods.
A lot of it's a very tumultuous situation, up and down like that.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it involves stuff like stock splits and what I
Right.
I just I use the charts as a starting point to do more due diligence.
Yeah, I'd like to find out more about the company that you were referencing as far as what caused that drop. Did you watch that West Side Barbell video I sent you?
With Simmons, I haven't. I've got it on the list here. I'm probably gonna pull it up as I'm walking to my workout today.
Can you post a link to that on here?
Yeah, I can put it in the YouTube description.
Cool. Yeah, I would advise any of my gym members listening, if you're interested at all in athletics, sports performance, strength training, powerlifting, that you give it a listen. I think it's a 20 or 30-minute video, and it's all of the frequently asked questions for Westside Barbell answered by Louis Simmons. And somebody went through like all of his different interviews and picked like the hot topics. So it's a good crash course.
Yeah, you had mentioned it to me when I told you I was doing box jumps. And I said, gee whiz, I'm doing like 34-inch box jumps, something like that. And you had mentioned that Simmons said not to do a box jump if you can't readily land in the middle of it.
And it makes sense. Like I've always kind of thought that, and I'm way beyond the point with my hips that I'm going to try anything like that anyway. But I see these people that just barely hit the corner, and it just looks like so much could go wrong. It doesn't seem like it's worth it.
Especially if you're not too agile, or I'm relatively small compared to a lot of people. In my case, I could see how even at 140, 150 pounds, whatever I am now, it could be pretty painful. I was doing quite a lot the other day, and I remember one specifically where I was like, oh, I'm going to go to the lower height because I went into the jump and I noticed this moment where it was like, I'm sure you've experienced this many times before. It's like your limb is not doing what you're telling it to do. Nope, I'm sitting this one out, and I just barely made it up that time,
That's scary. Here's where I'm at coordination wise. I just bought a bicycle so I can get around without walking because, again, my bad hips. And I've had a few weeks. I went to get on it like 2 days ago, and I had it in the hardest gear. And I started pedaling as I was turning and basically just fell right off the bike onto the concrete.
Oh, man.
And because my hips are tight, like I couldn't get my leg out to save me. And like, that feeling where it's like, yeah, I'm going down. There's nothing I can do. And it's just, fortunately, I was okay. Then I got back on it and almost did it again.
Oh, shit.
Totally sober, by the way.
Are you you got a helmet for yourself, or?
I do.
Okay.
I'm sure it helps. And like, it terrifies me thinking back to like when we were kids, because we never wore helmets, and you're going down hills. I bet we're getting up to 30, 40 miles an hour. It's like probably one of the most dangerous things that's overlooked. It's like, slap a helmet on your kid. And I would think like, sometimes going down these big hills in Kalamazoo, like that one on Westnedge, like I don't go as fast as I can, but you get going pretty quick. And I'm like, if there's like a stick or some kind of irregularity in the sidewalk, it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't survive this, even with a helmet. It's like you don't have a car around you.
Yeah. No, I've seen where there have even been, really dangerous impaling risks because there's like a stub of one of those stop sign metal frame things that's been cut.
Ooh.
No, thank you.
Duck.
I take it slow.
Yeah. I try to be hyper observant of what's going on around me, especially like when there's traffic, and try not to go too fast.
Yeah.
What time is it, Evan?
1:45.
45. Well, I think it's kind of a nice little short one, unless there's any other topics you want to hit on. I haven't really been paying attention to the news or anything.
Nothing that isn't a big can of worms, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for the help yesterday, and I will talk to you soon. And peace out to everybody listening to this. You guys all have a good weekend.
Yes, sir. All right. Take care, everyone.